unruly beings are as unlimited as space. You see, I'm not using every verse from this great text. I've omitted verses 4 to 11 in this great text, which I hope one day you'll read. I just was picking some verses to look at. So unruly beings, matlab out of control beings, are as unlimited as space. हर जगह मिलेगा ये लोग जो आपको तंग करने के लिए तैयार हैं. They cannot possibly all be overcome. You can't overcome them all. But if I overcome thoughts of anger alone, this will be equivalent to vanquishing all my enemies. समझ रहे हैं क्या कह रहे हैं?
Yes.
If my mind is out of control, then everybody can be a problem for me. As we know sometimes, when we're in a bad mood, nothing is right. Everybody becomes like an enemy when our mood is bad. Even our best friend annoys us on certain days when our mind is so negative. But if we control our anger, our negative mind, then you don't need to control the whole world. You already control the most important thing. Then you will no longer be disturbed by anything, actually. It doesn't mean you stop doing anything. You can still act in your society to help people or clean up garbage. We're not saying you become like a piece of stone, but you're not disturbed. Your mind does not become unpeaceful. You have controlled it sufficiently that nothing makes it upset so much, That's the point. So if I control anger, think about it, it's logical. If you don't have any anger or hatred in your mind at all, then there's no question of having any enemy in your life. The concept of enemy makes no sense if you don't have any aversion or anger in your mind. Can you see the logic? It's like if you don't have any love in your mind at all or affection, then nobody can be your friend. Then you won't have any friend in your life, in that sense. Depends on your mind. So we have a slogan on our ambulance in Bodh Gaya at our center in Bihar. It says, no anger means no enemy. फिर हिंदी में भी अनुवाद किया है, हिंदी का याद नहीं है. अगर क्रोध नहीं तो कोई दुश्मन नहीं, ऐसा कुछ लिखा है Root Institute के ambulance पे. And other slogans also, for those who can read them. So if we control our mind, that's the main thing, because the mind is the source of our happiness and the source of our suffering. We don't realize that. In ignorance, we blame other people for our suffering, and we rush out into this world trying to grab things to make us happy, thinking that will work. And we don't realize that if we just work with our mind primarily, that's the best thing. Doesn't mean you can stop eating or stop wearing clothes. This has to be done. But basically it's the mind. Things that upset us now will not upset us if we learn to work with our mind properly. But of course our society, due to the big explosion of industry, technology, money, economy, capital, we think societies are geared towards making people spend money. They need consumers. We need consumers in our economy. This you will learn in your commerce when you study it. Without consumers, modern capitalism, economics won't work. And not only consumers, but consumers who are not satisfied consuming. They have to want to consume more. ये वाला बिस्किट मिला, दूसरा भी चाहिए, ये टूथपेस्ट वो भी, the next this, the next that, this car ठीक है, अब एक दूसरा भी खरीदना है, new model, है ना? You're saying something?
It's designed to make us all unhappy.
Exactly. It's designed to make us feel unsatisfied. हमको और चाहिए, और मिल भी सकता है ना, ये नया ऐप आ रहा है, नया फोन आ रहा है, नया ये आ रहा है, खरीदो. Otherwise you're considered out of date. सब लोग कर रहे हैं, आप भी कीजिए, आप क्यों नहीं कर रहे हैं? So in this consumer society, we feel, simple point I'm making, happiness doesn't come from our mind. We think it comes from outside. And of course, I've also had the experience. Sometimes I'm unhappy, I go out, do some shopping, buy a few books, I feel happy. temporarily. It's not a final solution. Yeah, you can buy yourself out of depression temporarily. Kitne din chalega? And of course you need the money also, unless you steal things. And many people do, in India and the West. Stealing is a big problem in shops. I stopped stealing in shops when I was very young. I stole one marble from a shop in Connaught Place. This would be 1965 maybe. I couldn't help but show this marble to my father when we got back to Horsecars. My house is nearby. I was so proud. उन्होंने बोला कहाँ से आया? खरीदे तो है नहीं. He took me all the way back to Connaught Place from here in a three-wheeler. डांटे नहीं दादा, मारे नहीं, कुछ नहीं. All the way back. Give the marble back to the shopkeeper. एक कंचा मैंने चोरी किया था. 9 बरस का था या 8 बरस का था. उसके बाद चोरी नहीं किया. Anyway, we think happiness comes from marbles. उन दिनों में I don't know if children play marbles in Delhi anymore. गांव में खेलते होंगे, दिल्ली में नहीं देखता हूँ. मैं भी भूल गया कैसे खेलते थे, क्या करते थे, लेकिन कंचे. You play marbles ever?
I have.
You play, good for you. आप खेलें कभी? नहीं ना? But you know what a marble is, no? Not marble floor, गोल वाला.
I have played.
You have played. आप तो ऐसे. You are now. You have given away your age now by saying that. You must be post 30, 35. ठीक है. तो you see, we basically what I'm saying is, and it's well known psychologically that people who also feel a lack of love or something in their life, they will steal more. It's a substitute. I mean, they will buy more, they will steal more, they will consume more. I'm sure we all know people who almost live to eat. They don't eat in order to live, they live in order to eat.
Yes.
Sad. Sad. I'm not saying eating is bad, but if your whole life is just based on wanting to eat, that's a bit sad. Which is not to say that one shouldn't go to Kareem's or to some good, if you're a meat eater, kebab wabab khaiye, theek hai. But long-term happiness may not come from that. Short-term happiness may come. We won't really call it happiness, it's just some pleasure. Buddha would call it dukkha, actually. Does this make sense? It's quite hard to really, it's easy to understand intellectually, I think, not so difficult, but to actually really put it into practice. So difficult because we've been brainwashed into thinking that happiness comes from material things and from other people, or your girlfriend, boyfriend, mother, father, jo bhi hai. That's where happiness comes from. We don't realize actually the key to it is our own mind. There's a story which illustrates this also in the development field. One development worker, some big expert from Harvard or Cambridge or jahan bhi, or some big university in India, sees this gaon wala relaxing on a charpai, ped ke niche, wo apne banda. I hope you've all seen charpais. Maybe you see plastic ones now. In the old days it was made with rope. Ab to plastic zyada milne laga. Anyway, wo charpai pe apne aaram kar raha hai. The aid worker says, what are you doing? Just relaxing. Why don't you do more work? We can help you to, your crops to be more effective, or more this, more that, more production. So this kisan says, gaon wala kehta hai, so then what will happen if I have more production? You have more money. What will I do with more money? Oh, then you'll have, you can do more things and have more relaxation. What do you think I'm doing now? He was relaxing. Relax, Malla. Santush tha. That's enough. We are taught that enough is not enough. James Bond film ka bhi wahi naam hai. The world is not enough. Aisa kuch hai. I'm a James Bond fan. That's why. Bachpan se. Bad habit. Khair, koi nahi. Not such a bad habit maybe. World is not enough. Duniya se bhi zyada chahiye. You're lost. If you want more than the world has, how are you ever going to be happy? You can't get it. So then Shantideva has this wonderful analogy in verse 13. Where would I possibly find enough leather with which to cover the surface of the earth? But wearing leather just on the soles of my shoes is equivalent to covering the earth with it. Maybe you don't like thorns. Maybe you want smooth passage. And maybe you're an idiot. So then you think, oh, I should cover the whole distance between here and my home, or between here and Bodh Gaya, Bihar, with leather, ताकि मैं आराम से जा सकूं. अरे बेवकूफ, don't need to do that. उतना चमड़ा तो मिलबे भी नहीं करेगा, है कि नहीं? आप चमड़े पहनिए, जूते पहनिए, आपका काम हो गया. Understand? जूते पहनिए, काम हो गया. You don't need to cover the whole earth with leather. That's stupid. But that's what we're trying to do, trying to control the thing, trying to get from outside. अरे अपने दिमाग को सही करो, सब सही हो जाएगा. सही हो जाएगा का मतलब your own mind can be. It's not meaning that the whole world will be okay. There will still be suffering in the world, still be stupid people fighting with each other. But your mind can be calm and in a good place. And it will make it easier for you to help others if you want to. If your own mind is relaxed and intelligent and stable, then you can help others much better than if you yourself are angry and upset and, getting upset when you see these stupid interviews on the TV where interviewer and interviewee are shouting at each other and not having a discussion. They're having a shouting match. Have you seen these on TV? एक दूसरों से बात करने का भी ढंग नहीं है. So you don't get any clear picture about something. You just get people shouting, trying to outshout the other person. It is so pathetic. I mean, BBC का भी standard कम हो गया, but at least you have some good discussions on BBC. They're not trying to shout each other into silence. So you see, we're so caught up with all this nonsense because we haven't worked with our mind. It's like the interviewer is trying to cover the other person with leather, control the other person, not even knowing the first rules of interviewing, where you ask a question, then you shut up, let the other person answer. ये लोग करते नहीं हैं. पता नहीं ट्रेनिंग कहाँ मिलता है. ट्रेनिंग मिलता नहीं होगा ना. ये तो सब political stooges है ना. They are put there by people, not because they necessarily have skill. Anyway, likewise, it is not possible for me to restrain the external course of things. But should I be able to restrain this mind of mine, then what would be the need to restrain everything else? I know. Same point he's making. If I control my mind, I don't need to control everything else. But if I do want to control other things, I'll be more able to properly with intelligence if my own mind is calm and clear. We make so many mistakes when our mind is not calm and clear, right? When we are upset, angry, in a hurry. We may not even be angry, but if we're in a big hurry, we often make mistakes, right? But if our mind is calm, clear, controlled, we're much more effective in this world, and we can help others. Even those who wish to find happiness and overcome misery will wander with no aim or meaning if they do not comprehend the secret of the mind, the paramount significance of dharma. He's saying the most important thing to understand about dharma, really, is the secret of the mind. This main point, that the mind is the key. You may have more money than Ambani or the Sultan of Oman or wherever, but that won't necessarily make you happy. You can own the whole universe, but you may still not be happy. Was Genghis Khan really happy? Maybe, maybe not. His armies went all the way from Mongolia to Europe, but I guess he wasn't that happy. Otherwise, why was he so restless, having to rush all over the world, conquering people? Maybe he hadn't conquered his own mind. Unless he was conquering other people in order to help them, I don't think so. So this being so, I shall hold and guard my mind well. Verse 18 on the other page. Without the discipline of guarding the mind, what use are many other disciplines? सही बात है. I could be a great actor, actress, weightlifter, runner, poet, interviewer, jo kahiye, astronaut. But if I haven't conquered my mind, I'll be miserable. And I'll make other people miserable. I'll make sure they're miserable by not being nice to them, talking to them in the wrong way, upsetting them. Because my own mind is sick, which is what Buddha is saying. Then he says, if I am careful of a wound, matlab physical wound in my body, through fear of it being slightly hurt, then why do I not guard the wound of my mind through fear of being crushed by the mountains of hell? Matlab, Shantideva believed in hell. And what is hell, of course, we could discuss, but if we just take hell psychologically speaking right now, don't need to talk necessarily right now about hell after death, we can create hell for ourselves with our negative mind. The hell of fear, upset, anger, all these things is a kind of a hell. The mind is burning, it's upset. So he's saying, if we are so careful with a small wound, we put an elastoplast, bandage, we take good care. If we have even a small bite on our hand, why am I not concerned about this much bigger wound? My uncontrolled mind, which is affected by anything. Small word comes, I get angry, or very excited. Someone praises me, I get so excited, This is the wound of the mind. Why am I not careful with this wound of the mind? He's saying, because we're not. We're careful with our bodily wounds, not with our mental wounds. But the mental wound can take us into a hellish experience. We're not aware of it. It's better to be without wealth, honor, body, and livelihood, and it is better to let other virtues deteriorate rather than ever to let the virtues of the mind decline. So, jo bhi ho, you may lose your wealth, your possessions, your family, your izzat, everything. But if you lose all that, it doesn't matter. It just affects you for a short time or one life. But if you lose the qualities, the virtues of your mind, you're finished. You're finished. Long term, you're finished. Short term, you might think you're very clever by having accumulated wealth, stolen from people, got away with mischief. You might think you're very clever. Didn't have to go to jail. But long term, big problem. Plus, I don't think any of these people who cheat others, the people like, what's this fellow, Kingfisher Wala? Malya Saab, or Dawood Saab, I don't think any of them are happy. Mauja to hai ek tarah se. They can spend billions of rupees on daughters' weddings and this and that, but they always have to worry. ये enforcement directorate हमारे पीछे हैं, भारत के spies हमारे पीछे हैं, जो भी है. None of these people, I think, would be able to sleep very well at night without tranquilizers, without alcohol. Malya certainly without alcohol, क्योंकि वो तो दारू के राजा है ना. I once went Kingfisher with my father. I was quite impressed. Kingfisher बैठे हैं और फिर वो एक वीडियो दिखाते हैं माल्या साहब का. I would like to introduce all of you in this flight as a member of my family. ऐसे कुछ बोलता. Then later when all this happened, you say, क्या family member जैसे बुला रहे हैं आपने हवाई जहाज में? Now when you go to airports, you don't even see the Kingfisher planes now. वो सबको कबाड़ी वाले के पास भेज दिया, कहाँ भेज दिया पता नहीं. पहले तो देखते थे बस बैठे हुए. अब तो शायद उसका रंग बदल दिए होंगे. किसी को बेचते होंगे, किसी बना रिपब्लिक को बेच दिए होंगे. Anyway, so better to be without honor, body, Kingfisher, everything, but don't let your mind deteriorate. Oh, and then Shantideva, with his hands together, he's pleading with the readers. Verse 23. Oh, you who wish to guard your minds, I beseech you with folded hands, always exert yourself to guard mindfulness and alertness. Alertness here is also a word used is introspection. I want to read from this commentary since I brought this big fat book all the way from home. Might as well quote from it once. This is a commentary on this text. There's a commentary on Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, which itself is also about that thick. तो यहाँ वो कहते हैं, he gives a definition of this alertness word, which is actually introspection. Vigilant introspection or inner watchfulness is the repeated examination in all circumstances, whether we are alone or in the company of others, of our physical, verbal and mental behavior. Okay? It's an examination in all circumstances of our physical, verbal and mental behavior, and the conscious implementation of the principle of adopting what is to be done or should be done and rejecting what should not be done. मतलब it creates this vivek, discernment. क्या करना चाहिए, क्या नहीं करना चाहिए, क्या सोचना चाहिए, क्या नहीं सोचना चाहिए, क्या बोलना चाहिए, क्या नहीं बोलना चाहिए, क्या उचित है बोलने के लिए, क्या उचित नहीं है. अगर आप देख रहे हैं दिमाग में कि कुछ बुरा चीज़ बोलने का या sarcastic या किसी को दुख देने के लिए आपका एक इरादा है, तो नहीं, आप नहीं बोलेंगे, अपने को रोकेंगे. That is this inner watchfulness, introspection, alertness. So often we regret what we say, don't we? And yet we keep on saying things we regret. Adat, just habit. And we don't have this guard. चौकीदार नहीं रखा है दिमाग में. चौकीदार तो घरों के सामने हम रख देते हैं, 10,000, 15,000, पता नहीं कितना लोग देते हैं. लेकिन दिमाग के दरवाजे पर कोई नहीं है, सोया हुआ है चौकीदार, है कि नहीं? Nobody there. Or he's sleeping or drunk. So all sorts of negative thoughts, negative feelings, negative words are coming out of the mouth without control, creating not only a habit in our own mind, but also harm for other people. So, I beseech you with folded hands, Shantideva says, always exert yourself to guard mindfulness and alertness. Or this mindfulness and vigilant introspection. Intro means inside, spection means to see. This is again Latin, like spectacles. Intro is inside, spection, like spectator, spectacles, to see. Look inside. For those who have much learning, faith and willing perseverance will also become defiled by a moral fall due to the mistake of lacking alertness. Matlab, he is saying you might be very a jnani person, shraddha bhi hai, nischay bhi hai, ye sab hai, but you will easily become polluted if you don't have this mindfulness and alertness. Kyunki you will be careless, in other words. It's like a person who's made a lot of money very effectively through his business intelligence, but he doesn't carry it properly. He's easily stolen by a thief. He doesn't lock his, he just, wears an open jhola. Thief comes and steals his money. We have to be careful. Therefore, I shall never let mindfulness depart from the doorway of my mind. If it goes, I should recall the misery of the lower realms and firmly reestablish it there. Matlab, if I forget mindfulness, I'll act in a stupid way, creating a cause to be born as an animal or worse, etc. Or just have more and more suffering in this life. If we move to verse 34, he gives some practical advice of what we can do. When, just as I'm about to act, I see that my mind is contaminated with something unclean, defilement, at such a time I should remain, it should be immovable actually, unmovable is not good English, immovable, like a piece of wood. One should feel I'm just a piece of wood when one feels like saying something stupid or harmful, or doing something negative with arms or legs, or even when a negative thought is coming, I should just stop